Right now, something remarkable is unfolding that has put every space agency on high alert. The interstellar object known as 3E Atlas, the third, confirmed visitor from outside our solar system, has just accomplished what no one thought feasible. It has altered its course, not merely a minor adjustment or a subtle shift, but in a manner that defies every established principle of celestial mechanics. For the first time ever, the International Asteroid Warning Network, a global defense coalition endorsed by the United Nations, is tracking an object from a different stellar system. But what's the reason for this urgency now? Why focus on this particular object? Recent data indicates that 3E Atlas is not where it was anticipated to be. This revelation contradicts predictions made by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, as well as the fundamental laws of physics. If this object genuinely changed its trajectory while near the Sun, what we are observing could be more than just an astronomical anomaly. It may have been a deliberate act. The purpose of the International Asteroid Warning Network, IAWN, is clear: to detect and prepare for threats that could jeopardize life on Earth. It comprises the most powerful observatories worldwide, including those from NASA, ESA, and China's Purple Mountain Observatory. Until recently, it has only monitored near-Earth asteroid space debris from our own solar system. However, in late October 2025, the IAWN made a shocking announcement. For the first time, it would begin tracking an interstellar object, 3E Atlas. The official reason was to enhance astrometric precision concerning cometary bodies, but the timing raised eyebrows. Just days prior, 3E Atlas had disappeared behind the Sun, and independent astronomers started reporting minor deviations from its expected location. It was expected to reappear along a regular trajectory, but the calculations no longer added up. Avi Loeb, an astrophysicist at Harvard and author of the Loeb scale, had already rated the likelihood of 3E Atlas being artificial as a 4 out of 10. Following the emergence of these new anomalies, the IAWN quietly reclassified it as a high-priority target. Hundreds of telescopes were redirected to track its movements, as if Earth itself was getting ready for something unexpected. The initial hint indicating something was amiss came from a respected independent group of astronomers known as Earth Exists. They matched live telescope data with JPL's Horizon System predictions, and their findings made headlines almost instantly. 3E Atlas wasn't merely off course by several hundred kilometers. It was displaced by 1.1 million kilometers from its expected position, roughly 3 times the distance from Earth to the Moon. This displacement was not random. While the object's distance remained stable, its position shifted laterally, as if it had moved sideways through space. This contradicts the laws of orbital mechanics. While comets can drift forward or backward due to outgassing, jets of vapor acting as natural thrusters, they don't shift laterally. Achieving such a movement would require an extraordinary external force or a significant internal function. Even the largest recorded comet, Hale-Bopp, couldn't display such precision or power. Yet somehow, 3E Atlas managed to do just that. If 3E Atlas did intentionally shift its orbit, it implies that someone must have recognized this change before it came to the attention of the wider world. This led to scrutiny of NASA and JPL. As early as September, NASA's Mars orbiters were ideally situated to capture close-range images of the object during its solar close approach. Yet those images have never seen the light of day, not a single frame. Internal sources suggest the data is still under analysis, but some suspect something more calculated: censorship. Should those images reveal structural geometry or light behaviors inconsistent with a natural body, NASA would have every incentive to postpone public release. Recently, Avi Loeb noted that 3E Atlas exhibited an anti-telejet of material pointing toward the Sun, a phenomenon that's incredibly rare. However, after the Mars encounter, the tail reversed direction, suddenly flowing away from the Sun, as if the object had reoriented itself. No natural comet has ever exhibited such a clean reversal of its jet direction. Despite the peculiarities, NASA maintains that this is standard cometary activity. Nevertheless, the lingering question arises: if this is the case, why is the Asteroid Defense Network involved at all? By late October, new tracking data confirmed what many had feared: the deviation was authentic. Over a period of 19 hours, the positional discrepancy grew by more than 4 arc-minutes, equivalent to hundreds of thousands of kilometers. According to orbital analysts, sustaining that drift would demand a lateral velocity of nearly 4 kilometers per second, more thrust than some of our own deep space probes can manage. Theories erupted within the community. Some attributed it to outgassing, while others pointed to solar wind. However, solar wind doesn't apply lateral force. Should the data prove accurate, 3E Atlas would require a propulsion system capable of sustained acceleration combined with precision maneuvering. Meanwhile, the IAWN conducted workshops for astronomers on how to track unpredictable cometary behavior, which filled up within hours. Behind the scenes, NASA's Planetary Defense Office discreetly raised its monitoring level to the same tier reserved for potentially hazardous asteroids. Ironically, the object is moving away from Earth, not toward it. So, why treat it as a threat? Some speculate an even stranger explanation. It could be preparing for another directional shift. Just when astronomers believed the anomaly had stabilized, 3E Atlas once again altered its course. But this adjustment was not a mere minor change. It represented a complete correction. Ground-based observatories in Chile, Spain, and Japan detected a secondary deflection smaller than the first, yet perfectly aligned with the object's original trajectory as if it had corrected its own course. This was no random drift. The movement was symmetrical, calculated, and precise, the kind a spacecraft would execute after an automatic navigation check. The IAWN sent out an internal alert labeled as a pattern recognition event, indicating that the behavior did not correlate with any known natural phenomenon. Simultaneously, the European Space Operations Center, ESOC, disseminated an encrypted update to its member agencies, confirming that 3E Atlas had displayed measurable acceleration inconsistent with gravitational forces. In layman's terms, the object had emitted something. But what was it emitting? When the Very Large Telescope in Chile examined its infrared emissions, it detected a sudden surge of thermal radiation, a burst lasting 12 minutes followed by complete cooling, as if a controlled engine had been ignited, then turned off. Whatever 3E Atlas was, it had just demonstrated an ability to move autonomously. Once this data became public, every space agency sprung into action. NASA doubled its observational schedule while China reactivated its U-22 radio array, typically reserved for lunar missions, to track deep space frequencies originating from the object's trajectory. Meanwhile, the European Space Agency implemented emergency protocols from its Planetary Defense Office actions typically reserved for imminent impact events. Officially, this was claimed as a move for coordinated observation. Unofficially, it reflected panic. Scientists from Caltech and the University of Tokyo initiated comparisons of 3E Atlas's acceleration pattern with known artificial propulsion systems. What they uncovered was unsettling. The heat curve of the burst did not align with any chemical reaction or known ion drive. Instead, it resembled a magnetohydrodynamic acceleration signature, characteristic of charged plasma being guided by electromagnetic fields technology. Humanity has only theorized for interstellar travel, yet it wasn't merely propulsion. The object's rotation rate, previously stable, began to fluctuate in a harmonic pattern, repeating every 247 seconds. At first, astronomers hypothesized tumbling, but the precision of the pattern indicated it was communicating through its motion. With every novel observation, the IAWN broadened its focus. What began as a purely scientific endeavor transitioned into something reminiscent of a defensive task force. The object's new course wasn't leading into interstellar space, but rather toward the outer planets. More specifically, its adjusted trajectory intersected the orbital path of Jupiter. Analysts anticipated that in just a few months, 3E Atlas would come alarmingly close to the gas giant, within its magnetosphere region capable of generating immense energy. If this was mere coincidence, it was an astonishing one. However, if it wasn't, the object could be poised for a deliberate maneuver, a gravity assist, the same tactic used by spacecraft to gain speed or alter direction using a planet's motion. At this moment, global monitoring reached what NASA designates as Level 3 contingency, indicating that the object's movement was active, purposeful, and increasingly unpredictable. Yet, amid surging tension, even stranger events began to unfold. The frequency of radio interference across Earth's observatories began to synchronize, exactly timing with the rotational pulse of 3E Atlas. The planet itself appeared to resonate with the object's signal. Then, abruptly, every observatory tracking 3E Atlas went silent. Within 10 minutes, telemetry from locations in Hawaii, Chile, Italy, and South Africa froze at the same time. The Deep Space Network had lost contact. Even China's radio arrays reported total silence across multiple frequencies. Upon resuming data streams 47 minutes later, all observatories presented the same observation. 3E Atlas had vanished. It hadn't been destroyed or obscured by the sun. It was simply gone, missing from every recorded coordinate. However, a faint echo remained, a low-frequency pulse that, although undetectable by the human ear, was measurable by sensors, resonating across the network every 247 seconds. Initially, scientists thought it was just background interference, but the timing was too precise. Each pulse coincided with the object's last known spin period, as if the signal lingered out there, reverberating through space, echoing its final location. The IAWN officially classified this event as interstellar signal anomaly 2025-11, restricting access. Yet one detail leaked during the final 47 minutes of silence. Telescopes briefly detected a weak, directional flash aligned perfectly with Jupiter's orbit. The object hadn't simply disappeared. It had made an intricate leap. In the subsequent hours following the blackout, chaos ensued within the astronomical community. The IAWN issued no statement, and NASA stayed silent. China's Deep Space Network provided a single line of data before erasing its records. Tracking anomaly terminated. Object unobserved. For an entire week, the world was unaware of 3 Atlas's whereabouts. Then, late one evening, the James Webb Space Telescope spotted something faint, a flash of reflected light moving at impossible speeds, darting just beyond Jupiter's orbit. When analysts compared the position with orbital mechanics, they were shocked. The object hadn't slowed down, or merely drifted. It had executed what physicists refer to as instantaneous vector relocation. Simply put, it changed its position faster than the speed of light should theoretically allow. And such an occurrence defies belief. For days, scientists struggled to explain the data. Perhaps it was a sensor malfunction, or maybe it was background radiation. Yet, confirmation came soon after. The European Space Agency's Gaia Observatory, orbiting 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, detected an identical reflection precisely 247 seconds after Webb's observation. The timing was impeccable. The signal had jumped, as if the object had somehow duplicated itself across spacetime, using the same resonant frequency it had broadcasted for months. Each time that pulse was identified, it did not fade, but multiplied. It was as though 3E Atlas had mastered how to use gravitational forces as a bridge, navigating through the very fabric of space. Then came the most unsettling discovery. The IAWN Command Center in Vienna received a priority transmission categorized as level Omega. It contained a partial data stream reconstructed from the blackout period, the missing 47 minutes when all observatories had fallen silent. Upon decryption, this data was not telemetry or images. It was binary, a structured transmission embedded within the network itself, synchronized with 3E Atlas's pulse sequence. When decoded, it revealed coordinates, though not for physical space but for temporal location. The coordinates matched Jupiter's orbit, but the timestamp diverged from expectation, indicating a time frame 6 years into the future. Initially, analysts regarded it as corrupted data. However, as the reconstruction progressed, something horrifying became evident. The coordinates weren't directing to Jupiter. They were specifying a trajectory point onto Earth, a trajectory marker accurate to within kilometers, detailing where 3E Atlas would intersect our planet's orbital plane in the year 2031. The object hadn't escaped the solar system. It had established a return point. The file was immediately classified under the Asteroid Hazard Level 10 protocol, the same classification deployed for civilization-ending threats. Every national space agency publicly denied its existence. Yet 3 months later, amateur astronomers in Australia uncovered faint radio echoes repeating the same 247-second pulse, but now emanating from within the asteroid belt. The signal was no longer drifting away. It was returning. That was when the IAWN went dark permanently. All data, public feeds, and open observation logs vanished from the internet. The official explanation claiming system restructuring. The truth remains unknown. But insiders reported a covert network of encrypted observatories was created, operating independent of any government jurisdiction, codenamed Project Helios. Their mission was to track whatever 3E Atlas had become and ready for its return. Because perhaps this object wasn't simply traversing space. Maybe it was mapping and studying our gravity, our orbit, our resonance. Maybe, rather than fleeing something, it was waiting for an optimal alignment. Now, every 247 seconds, a faint pulse still reverberates throughout the solar system, so weak that it blends into the cosmic background, yet powerful enough to remind us that this story is not yet over. The world may have forgotten about 3E Atlas, but the universe certainly has not. So if this narrative has made you ponder what intelligence might be maneuvering something across the stars, do not look away. Subscribe to this channel. We unveil the discoveries that agencies refuse to acknowledge. Activate notifications, because when 3E Atlas makes its return, it may not merely be passing us by, it could be coming home.